And it was, it was in really bad shape.
Oh, I'm sure. Because it was left vacant for forever. A sniff in the air of a vacant area means that people are going to try to use it to whatever that they can possibly use.
I feel like you're going to maybe not love the second part of what I'm about to tell you.
Boo.
So, okay, what I do think is really cool is that he did do tours of the building.
Oh, they had a haunted house there?
And he had people come in, but he hosted what was called, like, the Night of Insanity in the off-season, which part of it was cool because it had, like, guest speakers and movies and stuff, but a lot of it was really sort of like a haunted house attraction type situation.
Dude, that's too much. That's too much. I don't love that.
I don't love that either.
Well, that's upsetting.
Like, he did care about the building, and from what I understand, he didn't make it out to be like, a typical haunted house that you'd see around Halloween time, but he definitely had like the spook factor going.
I'm sure.
So in 2013, a really bad storm came through. There were like 80-mile-an-hour winds, and it damaged the building pretty badly, and it completely ripped off the roof.
Okay.
So, Scott Kelly, he went ahead and he sold the building. It then went to auction that same year after he sold it. And the people who bought the building at auction sold it in 2014 to Robin Terry, who went ahead and he fixed a ton of the damage that had been done to it by that storm. So he replaced the roof first, and then he installed bathrooms, showers, a kitchenette, and he made other renovations to it just for like safety and preservation of the building. And this is where we can all feel good about this, guys. Now that Robin Terry owns the building, it no longer operates as a haunted house. Instead, it's being preserved as a historical location, and it's also being used for serious paranormal investigations. Like I said, you can pay money and do a tour and do an investigation of it, but they're not trying to make it something that it's not.
Right, and they're not trying to bring outside energy in there to maybe ramp everything up.
Yeah, he seems like such a cool dude. Okay, so now we get to talk about some of the fun stuff.
Cool.
We get to talk about the haunting.
Yeah, no more letting people with mental conditions running around and in badly ventilated fire. Definitely going to catch on fire areas.
Yeah, while they're gardening without pants.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
So sometime around when the building was left abandoned in the 80s, locals started saying that it was haunted, but it was like the big spooky abandoned building that used to be an institution.
Right, and this is a small town too.
Before that, though, there were supposedly a few incidents while it operated as a psychiatric facility where some of the patients were thought to be possessed.
Oh, okay.
I had heard one report of a patient who might have been possessed breaking through their restraints with like this really incredible non-human strength, but I haven't found a lot of other articles to back that up. There is a Week in Weird article where writer Dana Matthews said that during an overnight stay with paranormal investigator Cynthia Campbell, they had apparently over the course of the evening started picking up on this like really intense aroma of alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's a reason for it.
Okay.
Which they were like, where is that coming from?
Right.
And it kept getting super strong.
Like booze or like alcohol?
No, like booze, like you drink it booze.
Okay.
Not like some fucking isopropyl shit. And it made sense later because Campbell went and found an old newspaper article that had stated that a majority of patients at Ashmore Estates had over time developed alcoholism as a means of coping with their confinement there.
That's horrible.
And they kind of feel like that's where the smell of the alcohol was coming from. And over the course of that evening when they were there, more and more people in their group started picking up on it. So it wasn't even just the two of them. But the really interesting thing is there's no alcohol anywhere on site. None of them brought it with. And they also have a very big, super important rule at Ashmore Estates under its current ownership. Alcohol is not allowed anywhere on the premises. You are not allowed to show up like tanked or anything.
Good.
And they're pretty adamant about that.
Good.
Yeah, I'm
down.
I'm with it, man. No, I'll show up completely sober and then I'll go get tanked after we leave.
Yeah, because if it's a couple hours away, let's just, get an Airbnb.
Go get a hotel room and party it up.
Yeah, I tried to do that when we were in Peoria and it didn't work out.
Obviously, Ghost Adventures went there.
Yeah.
Because they go everywhere.
They go everywhere.
There's really no escaping it.
I'm afraid to say my house is haunted to anyone, even when I'm alone by myself, because they'll just show up with their car.
I didn't watch the entire episode just because, I'm a busy girl. I've got things to do. And honestly, I already really had my notes done and put together.
It never hurts to get a little bit more.
Yeah, it never hurts to check out a little bit more. But I caught maybe the first, 15, 20 minutes of the episode, and they had brought in a TV reporter who had apparently had a not great encounter there. He had this thing happen to him where he was sitting down in a folding chair, and he blacked out.
Okay.
And when he woke up, he was several feet away from the chair, and his shoulder was broken.
Wow, that's not good.
And he woke up because all these people were kneeling on the ground around him, dude, man, wake up. And from where he was sitting to where he woke up, it's not the type of situation where he passed out and just fell out of the chair.
Right.
And the manner in which, his shoulder was broken was almost like something had lifted him up and slammed him down.
Yeah, because I've fallen out of a chair whilst blacked out in some manner. Not really blacked out, but, a bit too drunk to be sitting. And you get a bloody nose.
Yeah.
You could break your wrist if you're super old.
And there are some people that think that, there's potentially demonic energy or demonic entities in the building.
Which that would kind of be right on there with it, I guess.
Yeah. Now, I've heard less about that in more recent years because when that TV reporter went there, I think it was still owned by that Scott Kelly guy that was, utilizing it as a haunted house, basically.
Yeah.
But, and I'll talk about this more towards the end, but Scott Kelly, after he changed it, the energy is apparently completely different now.
Wow.
But a lot of people catch actual video evidence there and a lot of things in photographs. So you're going to get a lot of full-bodied apparitions, which I think is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's very rare.
And what's super, super cool about this is if you go on Ashmore Estates' website, they have a page with a whole bunch of the actual videos that people have captured there, so you can see them for yourself.
Very cool.
And, also people get a lot of EVPs. Now, I mean, there's no way of ever saying when it's anything paranormal, whether it's a photo, video, or audio file, if it's been tampered with at all.
Right.
But the ones that I heard that were supposedly supposedly legitimate, what you hear is pretty audible. And the ones that were the most clear were the voice of a little girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know how I like me some ghost kids.
Yeah, and she just sounds sad and whiny, she just wants her mom. It's very sad, but I actually think I know who that is.
Okay.
So, and we'll talk about her too. So there have also been some reports of people going in there and feeling really angry or aggressive. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes when this does happen to people, they say that they don't really return to feeling normal for a few days afterwards. And a lot of people think that could be a spiritual attachment, while others think that it could be that non-human entity that is potentially there.
And at least not hurting people anymore, maybe.
Yeah. They do have a couple resident ghosts, one of whom we talked about for a little bit just a moment ago.
Little girl.
Yeah, her name is Elva. And she did die in a fire there. She apparently, when it was operating as a poor farm, her dress had caught on fire while they were cooking breakfast.
Oh, no.
And she burned to death.
Oh, poor little baby.
Yeah, so it's very sad. The other one, and I don't know a whole lot about him, but his name is apparently Joe, and he was struck by a train very close to the property, and he had lived there. But they do apparently both show up in videos and EVPs pretty regularly. I know that some of the EVPs I had heard were with the voice of a little girl in the background. So they have also apparently, and this doesn't really go into the paranormal aspect of it, I just think that it's interesting, they've shot a couple horror films there.
Of course. Well, it's an abandoned building, or at least it looked like it before he took over it.
Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, they have a pretty solid calendar of events, which I think is awesome. And like I said, the last time I checked, which was it was sometime last week, most of the investigations were $50 a ticket, which is not unreasonable.
No, truly.
And this is amazing. This is really super amazing. The owner gives a portion of ticket sales to a charity that helps children who have lost limbs and need prosthetics.
That's outstanding. That's so nice.
Which is so sweet. Full disclosure, I heard an interview with the owner of the building on another podcast, which is it's a big deal podcast. It's called The Grave Talks.
Okay.
And it's a really, really good podcast. I love them. But it was nice to hear his interview where he just talked about a whole bunch of the things that have happened there. One of the things that he talked about was, they had a group of people come in and like do their investigation and everything. And I guess there was a girl who had a prosthetic limb. And she went into a room to go try to record some EVPs. And he was like, hey, I think you should take off your prosthetic leg.
Oh.
And she was like, but why?
But I need this.
And he was like, well, if you're going to be sitting in a chair and everything, he's like, nobody else really has the opportunity here to take off their leg and nobody's ever tried it before. It'd be interesting to see if you catch anything different, right?
Right.
So she went and she did her EVP session. And the EVP that she caught on the tape said, hey, Stumpy.
That's so rude.
But she thought that it was so hilarious.
Oh, I'm sure.
She thought it was so funny. And so, whoever was there definitely reacted to her taking off her prosthetic limb, which I thought was really fun.
It is funny, and I'm glad that she was like, this is so silly.
Yeah, but it seems like such a really cool place, and I would love to go visit sometime. But that was Ashmore Estates.
That's really cute. I mean, not cute, but like it
was fun. Yeah,
it's fun. So, since I did the true crime portion of this, I'm obviously gonna have to do that cheersy poo, huh?
Oh, hey, and look at this, my glass of wine that you've refilled for me.
I was closer. Because mine took place in Ireland, I decided on an Irish toast. And aside from sláinte, which most, at least Chicagoans, especially Southside, know, because we are Southside Irish. Not me. I'm just English and pretending. But I have this one. So here's to a long life and a merry one. A quick death and an easy one. A pretty girl, and I'm just gonna sub a little bit in here for my bestest best friend. A pretty gentleman's. And an honest one. A cold beer and another one.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
I love that. And if you'd like to cheers with us on social media, you can find us on Facebook, where we are Shots in the Dark Pod. You can also interact with us on our Instagram account, which is Shots in the Dark Podcast. We are also on Twitter and Snapchat, where we are Shots in the Dark P. And if you have something that you'd like to say about an episode, or just want to shoot us a cool message, tell us about something you'd really like us to talk about, feel free to chat with us about anything you'd like by sending us a message at shotsinthedarkpodcast@gmail.com.
We also have a Patreon where we're trying very hard to implement a number of other really cool things. We have a lot of things in the works, but they do take time. So thank you to everyone that currently is supporting us on Patreon. We promise we haven't forgotten you. And with that being said,
from both of us here at Shots in the Dark Podcast, we hope we've left you shaken.
Not stirred.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ooh. Ooh, spooky, spooky ghost.
And I love you, and you're real pretty and stuff.
Aww.